Proverbs 17. Better is a dry morsel, and quietness therewith, than an house full of sacrifices with strife. A wise servant shall have rule over a son that causeth shame, and shall have part of the inheritance among the brethren. The refining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold. But the Lord trieth the hearts. A wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue. Whoso mocketh the poor reproacheth his Maker, and he that is glad at calamities shall not be unpunished. Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. Excellent speech becometh not a fool, much less do lying lips a prince. A gift is as a precious stone in the eyes of him that hath it. Whithersoever it turneth, it prospereth. He that covereth a transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth a matter separateth very friends. A reproof entereth more into a wise man than 100 stripes into a fool. An evil man seeketh only rebellion, therefore a cruel messenger shall be sent against him. Let a bear robbed of her whelps meet a man, rather than a fool in his folly. Whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore leave off contention, before it be meddled with. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, even they both are abomination to the Lord. Wherefore is there a price in the hand of a fool to get wisdom, seeing he hath no heart to it? A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. A man void of understanding striketh hands, and becometh surety in the presence of his friend. He loveth transgression that loveth strife, and he that exalteth his gate seeketh destruction. He that hath a froward heart findeth no good, and he that hath a perverse tongue falleth into mischief. He that begetteth a fool doeth it to his sorrow, and the father of a fool hath no joy. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. A wicked man taketh a gift out of the bosom to pervert the ways of judgment. Wisdom is before him that hath understanding, but the eyes of a fool are in the ends of the earth. A foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her that bare him. Also to punish the just is not good, nor to strike princes for equity. He that hath knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. Even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding.
Good evening. Change an option here. Doesn't work too well. It's an auto mute. Good evening. It's October 2nd, 2014. It would be a Thursday. This is your host, Mike Callahan, and welcome to the Watchman News. Well, reminds me of Brady Bunch days. I want to say Ebola, Ebola, Ebola. Those that are old enough to catch that reference. Anyway, that's what we're going to discuss tonight. I've got several related news articles to Ebola. The Patriot nurse, if you're aware of her, she uploaded a video earlier, just not that long ago. I figured I would play that for you as well. Yeah, I mean, just some common sense stuff. She's got a pretty grounded view on things. I would tend to agree with what she has to say in the video. It's not time we start running through the streets, jumping out windows, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, blood sacrifices, and no, I'm kidding. Anyway, so before we get to that, as always, let's go to suspicious observers. As you probably noticed, I don't have a lot of links or anything down in the About tab tonight. That's because just everything's been so ongoing. I've been trying to keep up with the latest and whatnot, so I didn't want to necessarily put any links down there. However, as always, suspicious observers link is down there. So let's start with that and go from there.
Good morning, folks. We're starting with the latest NASA animation. Comet sighting spring comes to Mars in just 17 days, a once-in-a-lifetime event. A link to this animation and a succinct introduction can be found right below this video. Top quakes of the day hit the mid-Atlantic ridge and returned to Iceland. Meanwhile, we had a minor swarm developing in Central America, an Earth spot uptick as new storm Simon was finally named and strengthens in the eastern Pacific. Croatia also had their largest earthquake in 9 months. Top space weather news is plasma penetration this morning. Our magnetosphere is calm and perhaps got caught snoozing as solar wind particles snuck past it and began striking the upper atmosphere. Dense readings there on the telemetry. Earth also took a gamma ray burst just 3 hours before the penetration began from way south in the Carina constellation. Solar flaring continued its decline, and this is likely due to the central sunspot decay. They are smaller and lacking magnetic complexity, and while the big ones depart on the west, the incoming limb does not appear capable of making up for it. The coronal fields are somewhat pinched. Near-Earth influence has switched back to positive, but the opening's effect will be minor and somewhat short-lived. This is surprising because the northern coronal hole does appear quite prevalent when looking in 211 angstroms. You can also see the trailing eastern edge of the big departing plasma filament begin to break and destabilize. This filament is well off center disk at this point, spanning more than 100,000 miles long, and it is finally beginning to twitch as it heads for the backside of our star. Let's step back a bit. You remember that landslide we mentioned in India? Now, this is a few weeks old at this point, but we still thought it was worth sharing an active highway being covered by falling rocks, soil, and whatever else was up on that hill. We've also linked the latest from the ESO, the European Southern Observatory. Good animation and article about star formation processes in Messier 11. In other news, it appears lunar volcanoes and rift valleys helped shape our moon almost as much as meteor impacts, and the seasonal changes on Titan are cooling down the southern hemisphere astoundingly quickly, much more than expected. We already saw new storm Simon. The rest of the tropics watch sees Fan Phone nearing Japan with a new storm just on its heels. There are two lows developing in the western Atlantic well up the coastline, and one is expected to impact eastern Canada. A large extratropical low has been stuck near Alaska for a while now, bringing a ton of moisture to the northwest. Keep that in mind as you eye the low and convergence in the central United States, slated to swing east tonight and make for a very rough weather evening on the eastern side, while that western moisture you've kept in mind might add snow as far south as the Oklahoma border. Eyes open there. Big low still dominates in the north. Poor Iceland. Meanwhile, the flow up from Western Africa remains as well and charges eastward atop, what do you know, Croatia. Two Antarctic lows reaching back north with their convergences set to take on Western Australia and New Zealand in the next 12 to 24 hours. Folks, given that we've had about 5 special updates in the last 50 days, I was actually planning to take the end of September off from our monthly special videos, but some research by David Hyde inspired a short update to the humans and electromagnetism section, another introduction to an important topic for those interested in waves. If you mostly just listen to Fly on the Wall, you've likely missed that the Sun Series supplement is at the top of the evening news page, right next to Billy's playlists, all those experiments of his, all in one place. You got shots of our star to close. We're heading to Louisville today. Can't wait to be back on Eastern Time. Check out observatoryproject.com for details. For the time being, it's 6:35 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:35 a.m. Central. Eyes open. No fear. Be safe, everyone.
And thanks to Ben Davison with Suspicious Observers. Like I said, the link is down in the About tab. I do know that since this video, there has been an oh goodness, I can't remember. I believe it was a 7-point something that came off. It probably might not be a bad idea to go ahead and update that. We've got time. Might as well bore you with some of the sun stuff as well as the Ebola stuff, I guess, huh? So let's go ahead and catch the update for the sun. It was 7.3. I knew it was an M7 something. So it's not directly Earth facing. However, it will have some effects on Earth. So we'll go ahead and take a gander, shall we? Let me stop this playlist. Might help if I unmute it, huh?
October 2nd, 2014. You're looking at the X-ray flux chart out of Boulder, guys. We've had almost an X-flare. This is going to peak at a 7.3 on the 1-minute data charts. I'll show you that. It's the second event of the day. Now, if you notice, there's 2 flares. First, there was a M1, then this M7.3. Notice on the 1-minute data how it turned just before getting into the red X class. But the flares to the top right, that bottom section is a coronal mass ejection. We will feel the effects of both. But this morning, before daylight on the East Coast in Central Time, there was a coronal mass ejection from the top left corner of the sun, and I'll show you some of that. It's not that visible here. You're seeing the X flare. Excuse me, this M7.3 here. But guys, if you woke up this morning at daylight and the sun, it was not overcast, you felt an intense heat from the sun, different than it has been the last 2 days. And this is why. Again, the temperature change coming out of the east. I was down working on my boat before daylight, and it got hot and stuffy. Then as soon as that sun came up above the horizon, it was intense. It would burn your skin. You felt the heat. You knew it's immediately going to be a different day than it has been for the last few days, which have been cooler. But this is the new event to the right again, coronal mass ejection as I step through the frames. But the X flare appeared right above that, and it caused the CME. Oftentimes they do. But there was not a flare involved with the top left coronal mass ejection. They can happen without it, and usually from a prominence or filament release. But again, that's why if you've been outside at all today and it hasn't been overcast, you've got that sun, let that sun hit your skin, you felt that first one. It was intense. Now we're going to be dealing with this. This is the Earth-facing SDO images. These are the sunspots. Now, everything had went back down to below call beta gamma delta. We have 4 sections that are beta gamma. Now, again, as we watch Mercury come in, you'll see the top left this morning. There's one event. Notice the timestamp on the 30th. On the 1st. And then from the same area, you'll see the second one. There's the one from the 1st. Then this morning, the one that came with the eastern sunrise right there. Very intense, that top left one. Now, this is also Earth facing LASCO C3. It's not showing the X flare yet. Those images will be coming in. As soon as they do, we may see some of the satellite information that will give an accurate tracking time or get it closer to when it will be affecting our Earth. Because if you see a flare that strong, it will affect you. If you see a coronal mass ejection that strong, even though it's not directly Earth facing, these things fan out. The energy from the flare will arrive quicker than the energy from the coronal mass ejection. Again, this is the top left event before daylight. Tremendous amount of energy thrown out. Compare that to the scale of the Earth. The Earth is very small compared to that event right there, guys. Again, as soon as the sun popped up, I knew something had happened. It was just too hot, too early, too soon. I mean, burning your skin hot. So I went in and checked, and you could see it on the LASCO C3 camera. That was the first indicator of this event. But we're going to be dealing with the impacts of both. We're watching the earthquakes, guys. I will update this afternoon as soon as the satellites pick up the energy from that X flare. Be safe.
All right, that was Jesse, otherwise known as BP Earthwatch. I urge everybody to go and subscribe to his channel. He keeps up on a lot of different topics, including the sun. He's got some pretty good biblical lessons amongst his videos, and just general news information. He does a good job. So real quick, before we get rolling with the Ebola, not much to update with Ferguson. Last night it rained there. Didn't look like there was much of a protest going on. So as far as I know, there's really not much to update there. Political news, I just saw on Facebook, apparently, and I know you can find anything on the internet, but apparently Piers Morgan, of all people, is coming out and making a statement to the effect of Obama golfing too much. And I thought, wow, the day that Piers Morgan stops licking Obama's boots and speaks out against him, I really need to start taking the temperature of the ground, because I think it's freezing over down there. But anyway, I thought that was a little humorous. On with the Ebola thing. I was up until wee hours of the morning with a team of people, for lack of any other term I could think of calling it. We were just working different angles on different subjects, but we wound up pretty well focused on Ebola. Two of the members of that team, one of them's name is Jason, the other one's Michelle. I urge you to subscribe to both their YouTube pages, channels, whatever you want to call it. One of them is Saving the Truth Movement, right here. So I would highly recommend you subscribe to Saving the Truth Movement. And the other one is here. Wow, I don't want to mess up saying her last name. I'm not quite sure how to say that. But Michelle, alternativenewsgatherer.com is her website. I definitely recommend that you go there. And one of the stories we have to do is from her website. And she's got a really nice feature where you can subscribe to her channel. Just put in your email. And I believe it's 3 p.m. every day. You'll get a list of her stories. And I got that list today. It was really nice, actually. So, yeah, and I know that Jason has a website, too. I'm trying to think of, let's see if it's listed here. I do believe. It is savingthetruthmovement.com. So, he's also got a really nice site, keeps it updated. So, just wanted to throw that out there. So you guys have that. Wow, Ebola, where to start? There is so much news with that today. It is unbelievable. I've got several links on my personal Facebook, so let me retrieve those and go from there. Yeah. Let me go ahead and start actually with Michelle's page that she's got, because it's got a little better updated information than the other link that I originally posted. So, Liberia to prosecute U.S. Ebola man. Liberian authorities say they will prosecute the man diagnosed with Ebola in the U.S., accusing him of lying over his contact with an infected relative. When he left the country last month, Liberian national Thomas Eric Duncan filled in a questionnaire saying that none of his relatives were sick. But Liberia's assistant health minister said he had taken a sick relative to a clinic in a wheelbarrow. Mr. Duncan is in serious condition in Dallas Hospital. His is the first case of Ebola to be diagnosed on U.S. soil, where as many as 100 people, wow, are being checked for exposure to Ebola. That's from this one individual. More than 3,330 people have died in the Ebola outbreak in 4 West African countries. And that's been like 6 weeks, okay? 6 weeks. And that's how many have died. Not infected. That's how many have already died in like 6 weeks' time. Speedy recovery. The BBC's Jonathan Lely, something like that, in Liberia's capital, Monrovia, says the prosecution announcement was made by the weekly Ebola Update News Conference, which is attended by numerous government officials and was dominated by the case of Mr. Duncan. We wish him a speedy recovery. We await his arrival in Liberia to face prosecution. Binya Kesley, the chairman of the board of directors of Liberia Airport Authority, said. Deputy Information Minister Isaac Johnson confirmed that Mr. Duncan would be prosecuted as he, quote-unquote, lied under oath about his Ebola status. Before the briefing, Mr. Kesley told the BBC that Mr. Duncan had answered no to all the questions on the Ebola form, which includes one about whether the traveler has any relatives sick with Ebola. Assistant Health Minister Tolbert, I'm not even going there, Nizwa, something like that, explained at the briefing that he was investigating Mr. Duncan's movements before he left Liberia on the 19th of September. He said Mr. Duncan works as a driver for Liberia Safeway Cargo, a subsidiary of the international courier service FedEx. Oh, wow. I really highly doubt that he's really concerned at this point with his prosecution. And let me tell you something else. Our government, the U.S. government, has been inviting this. Absolutely inviting this. There's no two ways about it. If a government was this concerned over something like Ebola or anything else, they would simply stop all flights from coming from certain regions. Any regions that had any people coughing, sneezing, a runny nose, right? But we're come on in by the thousands, literally. That's no joke. So this is not at all surprising to me. What's going on does not surprise me in the least bit. It really doesn't. And they've got 100 people, and I was going to go to that next, 100 people that are being monitored, or whatever term you want to use, as a result of this. Make sure I'm showing you. Ebola outbreak. Texas checks 100 for exposure. As many as 100 people in Texas are being checked for exposure to Ebola, health officials have said. The list includes potential or possible contacts with Thomas Eric Duncan, a Liberian national diagnosed in Dallas on Tuesday and will drop. 4 of his relatives have been ordered to stay home while they are watched for signs of the disease, say medics. Mr. Duncan, believed to have caught the disease in Liberia, as is in a serious condition in hospital. He was the first case diagnosed on U.S. soil, and on Thursday, Liberian officials said they would prosecute Mr. Duncan for lying on a questionnaire form. And I'm not going to go through and read the whole article, but you can go. It's on the BBC. Search the headline: Ebola outbreak, Texas checks for 100 exposure. Wow, yeah. Okay, now here we've got in West Africa more than 3,338 have died in the world's worst outbreak of the virus. There have been 7,178 confirmed cases, with Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea suffering the most. So let me throw this out at you. For one, we have much more dense population centers. And I know there's a lot of people that will sit there and argue, oh, well, we have a different way of living here. We have a totally different type of sanitation system. We don't do this, that, and the other thing, especially in reference to people that's already passed on, different traditions, I guess, of their culture when it comes to relatives that have passed on. Let me tell you something. 6 weeks, 7,000 people. And that's what they're saying. And we all know I don't trust what they say. There could be much more. That could be accurate. I don't know. But in 6 weeks, that's an awful lot of people. And they're still trying to carry on and act like that they don't know if it's airborne or not? Really? So when somebody contracts it there, are they having the whole town just come by and give them big old kisses and hugs? And what's the deal? Come on, 6 weeks, over 7,000 people that they admit to. And they're not going to come out and say, well, it could possibly be airborne. They're not even saying possibly. They're saying it's not. At this point, the CDC is saying it's not. They are lying. Just like a week ago when they said that it wasn't going to come to this country, they are lying. All I can tell you to do is be prepared. It's here. I'm not telling you to run down the street screaming, waking your neighbors up out of bed. Like I said, having blood sacrifices, whatever, jumping out windows. I'm not saying that. I am going to say get ready. Because it's better to be ready and then have it hit than not be ready. Because, oh, we don't have to worry about this. Our government's got it under control. Yeah, right. Sure. Our government can't handle something like Hurricane Katrina or Hurricane Sandy or the tornado that hit Joplin, Missouri. Much less something that is national. Okay? I mean, let's be realistic here. They can't handle a disaster in one city. How are they supposed to handle a pandemic in the entire country? Don't fool yourself. Be ready. At least. It's the least you could do. Not going to hurt nothing. So anyway, and Patriot Nurse, I've got her video I'm going to play. She'll bring a little more light to some things from definitely more medically knowledgeable stance than what I can do for you. You know, she's got some pretty good information on what not to do. But let's talk a little bit. Wow, where do you even begin? There's so many things. Last night we had such a good discussion. I mean, it was really such a good discussion. One of the things I wanted to point out is the CDC does admit that it exists in sweat. Okay, well, sweat has a lot of salt in it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a whole lot of bugs that really do real well amongst salt. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. So if it exists in salt, why would somebody believe that it wouldn't exist in the droplets that you might sneeze? And if it does exist in the droplets that you might sneeze, then is it not airborne? Don't take the CDC's word for it. I think they're trying to prevent a mass panic. All right. So I'm not telling you to go running down the streets screaming, but be prepared. Get ready. Make sure that when it comes out, because I do believe it's going to come out, but it's going to hit multiple cities. Make sure that when it comes out, that it does hit multiple cities, you are ready to lock down and stay in your home. That's your option. There's no other way to prevent from getting it. You don't know who's got it. It takes 21 days, 21-day incubation period. That alone is pretty scary to me. And the CDC's not even really being honest about how long this guy was infectious. Let's speak about that for a second. So I believe it was his girlfriend or something to that effect, a woman that he had seen. Apparently she has 5 different kids, which isn't so shocking. That's fun. But, pardon the thunder, there's 4 different schools involved. 4 different schools involved. 5 kids, 4 schools. And I thought that was rather interesting. What's the chances? And I don't know all the facts behind it. I just know that there are 4 possible schools that have been exposed. 1 hospital. And I believe 3 airports total. I know Washington Dulles Airport's one of them, and of course Dallas Airport. And I can't remember where the other airport was. I don't think it was in the continental U.S. Yeah. Food for thought. So 2 airports in the continental U.S., 4 schools, and a hospital. 1 person, they're monitoring 100 or more people over this 1 person. So do the math. Use your head. Do what's right. Do what's important. Just get ready. So what? You might have wasted some time. Bought a little extra food. Bought a little extra duct tape. Or plastic. Or bullets. Or whatever. But really, what is the harm? There's never any harm in being prepared. Just ask anybody that's ever been in a natural disaster. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. And those that weren't ready will tell you, you want to be ready. It's a fact. Just ask them. We've got this mentality in the United States that it won't happen to us. We're too complacent. We're too cozy. Don't let that take your life or your family's lives. It's that simple. Don't risk it. Not especially if it's involving just getting some things ready. Even if it's just mentally prepared. Just making yourself aware of what's going on. Tell you what, that's the best prepared that you could ever be. It's just being aware. Being knowledgeable about what to do. Not like I don't have anything to be able to really do a whole lot with. I lost all my preps. My most important prep, of course, is my faith, but my next most important prep is that I've sat there and gone through all these scenarios. I'm mentally prepared. I'm knowledgeably prepared. Those are the best preps you can have. Those are trump physical preps any day. So keep that in mind. So anyway, let's jump from Dallas to another city because This scared me. I don't know any more information about this yet. I'm getting a link to be able to put in the right window here. This definitely concerned me. I hate it when they do that. No, with all the poppy-uppy things. 2 patients quarantined in Kentucky with Ebola-like symptoms. Oh, cleared and released. Now they've been cleared and released. Okay, 2 patients in Kentucky with Ebola-like symptoms were quarantined for examination. They have since been released, according to officials with University Hospital. Earlier, when I originally posted this article, they hadn't been released yet. After the first case of Ebola was diagnosed in the U.S., doctors say they won't take any risks, even though the 2 patients in Kentucky tested negative for the infection. So, no need really in reading it all to you. Obviously, that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. This is what you want to watch for. This is what you want to be vigilant for. You want to keep an eye on whether or not this pops up in other, especially major metropolitan, heavy, densely populated areas. So right now, if we can keep it down in Texas, we're doing good. But I don't, like I say, this guy's been in two major airports, 2 international airports. Who were children involved, 4 different schools. Good luck with that. And I know they're saying, well, he wasn't contagious until, I believe they're saying the 24th. But, look, they're still learning so much about this. There's so much that they have no idea, no clue about. They're learning. They're trying to figure it out. So be careful with, of course, again, people don't need to be running around going crazy. That doesn't do anything. But I believe that the CDC and other authoritative figures or organizations should be a little more upfront, really. Because not everybody hears the news all the time. And somebody might hear, oh, that's nothing to worry about. And then 2 or 3 days later, it may be on the news. Okay, well, it is something to worry about. And they might miss that second news show. And here they're running around, living life as usual when they shouldn't be. So it's very dangerous to ever give an all clear, so to speak, when you're not sure if it's clear. That's just the way it is. So let me get on to Patriot Nurse's video. I don't have it linked either. Sorry, it came up just real shortly before I started the show. But you can go to the Patriot Nurse on YouTube. She's also got a Facebook channel. She's got a website. A wonderful, wonderful woman dealing with some of her own issues medically right now. So I would ask for your thoughts and prayers for her. Wonderful woman. I've been subscribed and watching her for quite some time. Years. At least 2, maybe 3 years. So a wealth of information. If you want to know anything about prepping or survival medical or anything like that, I urge you to subscribe to her channel. Look to her videos. She's got countless amounts of videos. And she also hosts classes, which right now I believe she's kind of probably taking a break from that, dealing with her own medical concerns. But she hosts classes, Medical Prep 101. And I believe it's 201 is what the advanced class is called. So, if she comes to your area and you have the means, you have the money and all that, I would definitely highly recommend you take her class. And I'm not trying to do a commercial for her or anything like that. This is just good common sense. And from what I understand, from what I hear, she has an excellent class and does an excellent job of teaching some very, very practical and well-needed skills in that type of situation. So it's a 13-minute video. Let me go ahead and get it fired up. Listen to what she's got to say. I think she's using a very level head, as she pretty much always does in her videos. I stay away from the political videos. It's just my opinion versus hers. We don't necessarily view the same things the same way when it comes to politics on some things. That's neither here nor there. This is about Ebola. If you want to know how to play football, ask a football player. So we need medical information. Here you go. Good source. Anyway, here's the Patriot Nurse. Enjoy.
Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse, and in today's segment, I want to give you guys an Ebola update and kind of some practical steps to take here. So first off, I'm sure most of you know by now, it seems like everybody knows and everybody's talking about it, that Ebola, the first case, has been diagnosed here in the United States in Texas. And I want to kind of demystify some stuff here and also kind of deconstruct some of the arguments that are being put out there. So first things first, I'm still not at the point where I'm like, okay, this is pandemic level threat, not there yet. And neither is the CDC or the World Health Organization. So the governing bodies, or I guess it's not governing bodies, but the bodies that have the greatest medical consensus and the eyes on and the intel are basically saying at this point that they don't believe that this is a pandemic yet. And while it is a problem, it hasn't escalated to the level of being clear, pressing, immediate threat and danger for people here in the United States. Okay, so first things first. I think this is what I'm seeing right now. Okay, and what I'm seeing when I'm looking online and kind of reading stuff is there's a lot of fear, and there's also I think some unrealistic consumption that's being driven. The first thing is, let me just call this one like it is, guys. The purchasing of hazmat suits and this, that, and the other related to, higher echelon containment of this stuff, I think it's ridiculous. And let me tell you why. Just because you have one suit, right, and, a full like gown, mask, all that stuff, those are disposable. They are meant to be used for a limited amount of time. They have a shelf life here, right? They're meant to be used and then disposed of properly. But something I think we have to understand as well, all this personal protective equipment, right? All this gear, that isn't going to do you any good in an Ebola outbreak, right? Unless you have control zones of hot, warm, and cold, right? Unless you understand how to set up a makeshift infrastructure for containing, things like this. All the personal protective equipment, the advanced personal protective equipment in the world is not really going to help you, okay? Let's also talk about some practical things here that we can do. Ebola, while it is being studied right now, and while because there are more infections being diagnosed, the body of evidence is growing, right? The body of data points that we have to be able to look at the stuff. There's still much about Ebola that we don't understand, right? So I think a healthy level of humility is good. It seems like when you look online, everybody and their brother is an expert. I'm sitting here like, okay, just like you read stuff that people say, and it's like clearly their information is not correct. So let me just encourage you guys just to be discerning with what you're reading and where you're getting your information from. That being said, let me talk about some things that I think are good to store. The first thing is I actually do think it's a good thing to store masks, and not for perhaps the reason that you're thinking. Ebola at this point officially has not become airborne yet. So I think we need to kind of be looking forward, looking ahead of things. I don't think that it's going to become this terrible, airborne pandemic, behold a pale horse type of thing. It could be, and I can be just completely wrong, but I don't think it's going to be doing that yet, for sure, with the data and the evidence that I'm seeing. I do think it's a good thing to store masks, though, because number one, people tend to buy things anyway based on a reaction, which will in turn deplete the supply and subsequently drive up the price of these, okay? We are going to be entering into flu season and infectious respiratory disease here quite shortly, within the next few months, okay? So I think it's a good thing to have masks anyway. And what masks specifically are we talking about here? There's N95, but it's kind of up in the air as to whether or not that's going to be effective against Ebola, because of the size of Ebola. N100s and P100s are recommended. But the thing is, these more expensive and heavy hitting respirators are, they cost more for people, right? And we have to be cognizant of the fact that these respirators have a set usage life as well, right? You can't just wear the same one for days and days and days and days and days on end, right? They have to be regularly changed out. This is the drawback with personal protective equipment like respirators and gloves and gowns, right? They have a limited useful lifespan, okay, and they have to be rotated. So personally, I think it's wise to store masks, and I'll put some links down in the description box for you guys. There is a toss-up here. There's a balancing act that has to happen here because, for instance, N95s, while they may not be as effective at filtering out Ebola, right, they are effective at filtering the flu, okay? Something else to consider here, too, that if you have a fixed amount of money to deal with, I tend to think of purchasing things like personal protective equipment or whatever. I tend to think of things as investments that I make. They need to meet two specific criteria. One, they need to be minimally suited to the task, okay? And then two, they have to be durable or effective, right? With masks, you're not really going to have the durability factor. So the way that we mitigate that is to have a good quantity of them that can regularly be changed out. Because this is the thing, guys. Respirators with continuous wear, it depends on how saturated the external environment is that you're breathing from, how dirty the outside air is from outside of your mask. In some cases, they have a limited useful lifespan, N95s specifically, of between 3 and 4 hours, depending on the external contaminants, okay? So now that doesn't mean that they become completely useless, but they start to lose efficacy after continuous wear. So this is just something that we need to consider here, right? That if you're going to be purchasing these things, that just a box, like just a box of 5, that might not be enough. That supply might be artificially reassuring, right? So for me, I'm going to continue to buy masks. I just made another purchase. I just made another shipment order yesterday because I actually do think that the cost of respirators is going to go up because people are buying them like crazy. And then it could set us up for being at a greater risk of running shortages during flu season. So that's why I'm getting them now and not waiting. Buy while the price is low. Economics 101, supply and demand. Buy while it's cheap. Buy while it's plentiful. So do that. The other thing here to consider as well is that, at this point, Ebola is officially known to be spread through contact and through contaminated body fluids, right? So, there are natural limiting factors to this thing's ability to cause catastrophic damage. But again, with that, I think we need to have a healthy level of humility. And we have to recognize that science is evolving in this, okay, that it's constantly growing and changing, because until quite recently, Ebola had been, it definitely hadn't occurred in the numbers and level that it is now. And because of this, our data points, our ability to collect information was limited. But now, because more people are getting sick, we're starting to get more data points to be able to figure stuff out. So Semper Gumby, be flexible and be mentally looking for new information, and vetting your stuff too. Something else that I would do, I'm a big fan of essential oils anyway, because to me well, first off, they smell good, and everybody loves to smell good for sure. The second thing here is that many of these oils, right, exhibit very strong antiviral and antibacterial properties. I'll put a link down to the thieves oil, or this is generic thieves oil, I guess, but there are different formularies of essential oils that are basically intended to decrease the overall viral count around you, or when you're breathing it. They're formulated to do this. So whenever I travel through the airports, and I will be doing that in 3 days, I will be making a transatlantic flight. You can bet that I'll be carrying that with me, and I make sure and regularly breathe thieves oil whenever I go through airports. But guys, when it comes right down to it, the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. And you're not stupid. I'm just saying in general. Yeah, not meaning to be rude or unkind to people, but keep it simple, right? Wash your hands. And that's a discipline, right? We forget, we get busy, we don't do it as much. I try and make the point in my mind whenever I'm on the airplane, in between transits, like going to the bathroom, shudder on an aircraft, or touching the handles of the seat or whatever. At transit points, wash your hands, okay, with soap and water if you can. Even if you can just bring like a little water ball with you and just wet your hands and just do something, that will cut down, right? That'll cut down on the malevolent nasties that can live on your skin. So practice good sanitation. And again, check your shoes at the door, drop your stuff at the door when you come in. Basically, just consider the outside world contaminated and drop your shoes, drop your stuff, like your purses, your backpacks, whatever, and go wash your hands first thing, right? And have, if you can, a regular schedule of disinfecting the high traffic points of your house, namely the refrigerator door, the door handles of the bathroom, the toilet, the doors in and out of your house, your garage. Just kind of step back for a moment, take stock of your house and what's going on and where people spend time, right, and where they touch a lot, and then be regular about disinfecting them, right? You can disinfect with bleach water. There are different chemicals that you can use, but just be good about cleaning. Be good about cleaning. This is just a good principle anyway, but it'll serve you now especially. So I hope that was helpful for y'all. A little bit of chill factor. I'm not super worried at this point. I just think that we need to be vigilant and just keep our eyes open. So I hope it was helpful for y'all today. If you enjoyed the video today, please subscribe to me, like me on Facebook, and follow me on Twitter. Also, if you are interested in learning more about medical prep, then you need to come out to class. Come on out and join us. I make this statement, and it's totally true. I have the best networking of anybody in the preparedness industry, and it's true. And it's not because, oh, I'm so great. It's because my students, the people that come to my classes, are the cream of the crop and the salt of the earth. And it is a great place to meet people who are like-minded, who are not out of their minds, who have common interests, right? So come out to class. Consider that for sure. Consider bringing teams to class, like husband, wife, or whatever. Consider doing that, okay? Because it's not enough just to have one person trained. We really need to make sure that we've got at least two people here. Because what happens to one of your people if they're sick and they go down and the rest of your peeps in your group are sick, right? You need to have somebody who can kind of take up the slack there. So come out to class. Check out the website, www.patriotnurse.com. Shoot, I wasn't supposed to say that. I was supposed to say just thepatriotnurse.com. Whatever. You guys know how to type in a web address, so go ahead and do that. I'd love to see you guys in class. It's my personal invitation to you. Come on out. Love to see you. Love to hang out with you. Plus, we always go out to eat after class on Saturday night, and it's awesome. And I just got back from Texas, and it was a dream. Texas people are awesome. So I think that's enough for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Pay attention to your nutrition and your hygiene. And I'm going to be giving you guys updates from Israel when I'm over there. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. I hope it was helpful for y'all. And for now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Thought she had some really good information at the end there, as well as her plugs there that she gave. By all means, check her out. By all means. Yeah, interesting. While I was playing her video, Facebook went down. I was about to run outside and start screaming and call 911, get the fire department here. I was going to call the Marines. I was going to call the Department of Homeland Security. No, folks. Facebook did go down for a short period there. I was scared. Anyway, on a serious note, she's got a lot of practical advice there. Wonderful advice. I believe wholeheartedly in what she was talking about with the hazmat suits and the masks and whatnot. Yeah, don't go crazy on that stuff. Last I knew, Bud K, and I can't guarantee you anything medically about the information I share from a medical standpoint, but I would believe any whatsoever relatively decent type of mask would do you well in this scenario. That I did have. Yeah. So these right here, you can go to budk.com, B-U-D-K, that's Bravo Uniform Delta Kilo.com, and right here for $30 you can purchase a mask. And I know it looks like, oh no, I'm not coming from World War II, but hey, look, whatever saves your life, that's what's important. At $13 a piece, it doesn't cost that much to outfit your family. with this mask. Now, they will not fit small children. So as far as a gas mask for children, you're going to want to go a different route. But this will fit adults. This is the M10N, the Mike 10 Mike gas mask with filter and drinking tube. And it's nice. And I don't know if they have, we'll do a search real quick. I don't know if they're children's size gas masks. I'm particular to gas masks because they're effective and they're multi-purpose. Not only would it take care of a viral situation, but if you were involved in a radioactive situation or a bio weapon, which I'm not quite so sure we're not dealing with. Hey, who knows? I'm looking real quick. I don't see any that say children's. I sure don't. It looks like everything that they have is for adults, but you can see their selection there. They even sell the canteen caps. So let's real quick before I go, we'll go to Google. I like to shop Amazon. I don't know. I've kind of gotten away from eBay. So let's just type in Amazon child gas mask and click on the first link there. And bingo for I would watch anything super cheap, like you see this child gas mask 4 sizes for $9. I would be a little iffy. These are your children that you're talking about. Here's a kit of Israeli ones you could get with 2 adult and 2 children for $119.90. But here you go. Here's the Israeli civilian children's gas mask with NATO filter. I believe that's going to be the 40 millimeter filter. $32.90. So $33. That's not too bad. Not too bad. And you just look and you can find others too. So they have other things too. Here's a hood style for roughly $50, which might not be a bad idea for a child if you can afford the extra money. I would definitely recommend a hood. Yeah, there you have it. There you have it. Just look around. Make sure you're practical. Go out and you don't have to go out and buy the supplied air pump package and all. You don't need that. It ain't all about that. Okay, you're not creating viruses. Okay, you're just trying to avoid them. So don't go overboard. Just like the Patriot nurse said, don't go overboard. Don't go underboard either. Don't buy the cheapest thing that money can buy. Buy something that's going to be effective. And make sure you get on it. I mean, I can't guarantee if this is a real threat, if this thing's going to go through, like I fear. I don't know how much time we really have to prepare. So I would get on it, like now, like yesterday. Make sure you buy enough filters. Like she was saying, the filters have a limited amount of time. Make sure you buy enough filters. That's another thing that I like about the about that M10M. And I don't remember, did they have? Let me go back there. I don't know if they sold just the filters or not. That's an eBay item. I know you can. Yeah, there you go. $5. $5 for a spare set of filters, and I think they typically come with like two sets when you buy the mask. Mine did anyway. And it's $5 per set of filters. So I would definitely, you could make, if you use a little bit of ingenuity, use your head, you can build what do they call that? What you're doing is you're creating a small positive pressure inside the room that you're in. There's a specific term for it, and I just can't think of it. But it's a box with an air pump in it and a filter. And what you do is you just apply a small positive amount of pressure in the room that you're in, air pressure, clean filtered air pressure. And then that way, any leaks that you have as far as let's say you taped up and plastic up your windows and everything in a particular room in your home. As long as you keep a little bit of positive air pressure inside that room, then that air that's coming in through that filtered box will push out of those leaks. So in other words, all the air that you have in that particular room will be filtered. Okay, so that way, if you have something like that set up, then you only need to wear a mask if you go out. Now, do I think that this is a situation that requires that? I don't believe so. It's not, as far as I know. Again, I'm no medical expert, but this isn't like a biological bomb went off or anything like that. It's not. And I don't feel at this point that it has or needs to be treated like that. So, just use your head. Get ready. Take some minor preparations. Make sure you get some form of a mask. This is a cheap alternative, a cheap, effective alternative, and it looks kind of cool to me. But anyway, you can multi-purpose it as your Halloween outfit too. Why not? But I wouldn't take the filters. They come packaged, in a package. I wouldn't take the filters out of the package or anything until it's a situation to where you need to use it. It's not a toy, and they do have a life span once you remove them out of the package. I'm sure they probably have a lifespan in the package, but I'm not sure that these are military surplus. I'm sure they'll be all right for this type of situation. Would I trust it for a nuclear war? Well, it's better than nothing. But in that particular situation, I think I would prefer is the key word there, something a little newer, more updated, more protective. But, you have to do what you can do. So for $13 a piece, I do believe it'll keep Ebola out of you. And just get you some good Kim-Safe gloves. Kim-Safe, you don't spend a fortune. Don't spend a fortune. It's not necessary. But anyway, that's what I've got for you tonight. I will be back tomorrow night. I will probably have more Ebola information tomorrow night. I do believe I'm going to maybe ask a couple of people if they would like to be a guest tomorrow night on the show, namely Jason and Michelle. So if you're out there, if you're listening, I'm asking. I'll also send you a Facebook message. I would like to continue this discussion with any more updated news tomorrow, along with any other news that comes through and hits. I will be keeping an eye on Ferguson tonight. I don't know if I think the rain's going to settle down, so there may be some activity that goes on there. And anything else that comes up. If Facebook goes back down, I'll be sure to make sure to update you on that. Anyway, you all have a good night. God bless you. May God walk with you. Be one with your spirit. I love you all, and I will talk to you tomorrow night. Have a good one.